Senator Menendez, thank you so much for joining us. And let's first talk about these centers in Xinjiang. The Chinese government calls these vocational training or education centers. How would you describe them?
I describe them more as concentration camps. There's nearly, we believe, 1 million Uyghurs who are in these re-education camps, which really is a violation of their human rights and international law. And as such, I believe we need to speak out to ultimately pressure China to end these camps and to observe the human rights of the Uyghurs. And so that's why our legislation seeks to do a variety of things to try to accomplish that goal.
You call these concentration camps, and you're putting the pressure on China with this Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act. But why now? Why the urgency to crack down now on what's happening in Xinjiang?
Well, I think that we see a set of circumstances that has come to our knowledge that has grown dramatically. As I say, nearly potentially 1 million Uyghurs in these concentration camps. It may be a prelude to China thinking beyond the Uyghurs and the Muslim minority that lives there and saying anyone who opposes the government could ultimately go to a quote-unquote re-education camp, which is really a concentration camp. So I think now is the time for the international community to create the emphasis and the pressure to have China understand that that is in violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that it is in violation of international law, and to pressure China to change course. So our legislation, for example, would allow and help UN entities to have full access to Xinjiang so that they can ultimately see for themselves. It would call upon the administration to consider using the global Magnitsky Law, which is a law that can sanction human rights violators, in this case against the Uyghurs. It also is to make sure that American companies that are doing business in that region are not complicit in anything that deals with the, the concentration camps of Uyghurs, and a series of other actions that we believe are important to stand up for human rights and democracy in China, not just as it relates to the Uyghurs, but the potential that, in fact, China considers this as a policy that they may affect upon other members of their country, the citizens of their country, if, in fact, they don't stay in line.
Now, here at CNN International, we broadcast directly into China, into Beijing. So, assuming that we're not being blacked out, Senator Menendez, what is your message to the Chinese government?
My message to the Chinese government is that oppressing your people does not lead to the great nation that you desire to be. And so, you should be able to accept that there are differences as long as those differences are peaceful, and you should allow the Uyghurs and others who have a different view to freely express that without the concern that the state is at risk. And I would hope that the Chinese government moves in that direction, because then it can move towards being the great nation it aspires to be.
That's your message to China, but will China change? I mean, do you expect this law, again, the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act, will change Chinese behavior?
Well, look, it is my hope that it will have them rethink their policy. It is my hope that it will change it. It is my hope that it's the beginning of an international effort so that China understands that their actions are in violation of international human rights laws, and that as a nation who seeks to be a leader in the world, it must also submit itself to the international norms of the world. And so I think that if we get a UN system that broadens the base of those who call for these types of changes in China, which are changes within not an American view, but a view of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights signed by all nations, then ultimately at the end of the day we can achieve the goal. I don't say that it will happen overnight, but these efforts, I believe China does care about its international reputation, and I think that it will put this among the things that they're going to consider about how do they move forward.
All right, Senator Robert Menendez, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me.
Great to be with you.